Difficult. Women. Hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Good. I'm Katy.
I'm Marie.
And this is the Difficult Women Podcast.
That's right, folks. Normally we are doing it together in New York City, but no, not this time. Not for
yet.
A while.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, when I said I'm Katy, I felt like it was like you wouldn't know. I feel like I was saying it to you.
Who is this person I'm looking at through a Zoom meeting?
Exactly.
Oh, thanks for tuning in, folks. We're still at it. Still bringing you the podcast. I'm in Nashville. Katy's in New York City. How are you?
I'm good. I've actually had a pretty good week. I'm not gonna lie. I had this one weird thing happen though.
Ooh, tell me.
I was kind of shunned from a socialist Zoom meeting.
Oh, what?
I was like invited to this Democratic Socialist meeting on Zoom, and I asked too many of the wrong questions, and they got mad at me. And
the whole group?
I'm invited. It was like the moderator, because it was like they had this separate section for questions and answers, and I was like, "Oh, this is really interesting, but like, how are you going to deal with this?" And they just like did not like that.
What did you ask? I'm so curious.
Well, so very quickly, like basically one of the big things I learned is that the way that they define working class, this is like the big part of this whole thing, is that you're working class if you are employed by somebody else, and you're capitalist class if you employ other people. That's it. Oh. That's their definition. So they used as an example, if you're a farmer and let's say you graduated high school, or maybe you didn't even graduate high school, but you inherited a family farm, and you're running that farm and you have to have employees for that farm. And let's say you make $30,000 a year only, or $25,000 a year from that farm. You're not working class. You're capitalist class. So I was like, okay. But then the question it begs the question, like, okay, so then, and then they were talking about how they've been making moves to try to make it so that we can pass some sort of a bill so that everybody can get paid sick leave, which should be great. I think everyone deserves paid sick leave, not 100%. But then I was like, that sounds great. But what happens to these, like, for example, this like family farm? How do they afford paid sick leave if they're only making $30,000 a year? And their first response was very curt with me. And they were like, well, you shouldn't run a business if you can't afford all these things. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I mean, to some degree, like that's true. I was like, but then if you pass this bill and then this family farm can't afford it all of a sudden, right? They close down. And then who's farming? It's Monsanto. It's like Walmart. It's like, you know what I mean? So I was like, so I don't understand, like, what are you going to do to support the smaller businesses? And that goes for any small business, because I think that, like, yes, we should have, you know, everybody should get paid a high minimum wage. Everybody should like get paid sick leave. Everybody should get all the things that we all deserve. But if you make it impossible for like regular people to start a business, then the only people that run businesses are rich people. And so then you are trapped working for other people for the rest. Even if you're paying, you know, I guess they're sort of like, well, if you get paid well, then who cares? I'm like, because some people don't want to work for other people. That's why. And that's like where capitalism is so great if it's done well, right? Where people have more of an opportunity to try. And if you're not a good business person, you burn and, you know, crash and burn. And that's just how capitalism works. But in this kind of sense, I was like, I don't understand. Like, but like in Sweden, people own businesses, right? I mean, do only rich people own businesses?
No,
I feel like there's got to be
working class. Yeah.
Huh. So it was interesting, and they got really like they kind of stopped answering my questions, and I think they thought I was trolling. I was like, I'm not trolling. I just
How many people were on the call?
I mean, like a couple hundred, I think, from like all over the place.
I love this.
I mean, it was like in the type. It wasn't like in the chat part. It wasn't like me on Zoom being like, "Hi, I have a question," but it was still they were mad. And then I talked to my friend later who had invited me, and I was like, sorry. I was like, but like, I just have questions. And he was like, oh no, I'm sorry. They were like weird to you. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what to do.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys make sure you ask your questions before you join a group, because you want to know that you agree with what they're doing.
Well, here's my question. Is that part of your self-care routine? Joining on Democratic Socialist.
Trolling Democratic Socialist. Yes. That's definitely that's my self-care.
Is that how you're taking care of yourself during quarantine?
Just riling people up. Mm-hmm.
You do you.
Yeah.
I bake bread and you do that. So, best of both worlds.
Everybody's got their thing. And that was a beautiful segue.
I think so.
To our topic today.
That's right, folks. We are talking self-care during quarantine because you got to care about yourself.
And, real quick, one of the best ways to take care of yourself is by taking care of yourself, right? So listen up to this. Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff to spice up your bedroom is even better.
Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff.
Enter offer code HORIO at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts.
A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy.
And 6 free spicy movies.
Ooh! Plus, free shipping.
That's HORIO, WHOREO, HORIO at adamandeve.com. So how do you like to self-care?
Well, yesterday I watched Obama's commencement speech.
Mm-hmm.
That really made me feel good. And I felt
it was
like
inspiring.
Instead of thinking of, hey, I'm the class of 2020, I'm graduating, I just viewed it as, okay, Obama's giving me a pep talk. And I mean, it really hit home harder than I think anything could have at this point for the 2020 kids. Like, they're going to have to grow up faster during this time. And I kind of felt like he was talking to me too as I'm living with my parents. It's like, time to grow up, Marie.
Yeah, move out of the house.
Move out of the house. Get your life together. But that was really nice.
Interesting thing. Yeah, I heard it was very inspiring, and I'm glad to hear that. And that is I think that the kids these days are going to have a different experience than we did. Certainly going into college and stuff. Like, I don't even know.
Jeez, I know.
So we'll have to take it day by day.
But the best part of his speech was like, learning that the adults don't know what they're doing. Learning that some leaders really don't have the answers.
Love it.
Or aren't
Yes,
even
true.
asking the right questions. It's like, see, burn.
Back to questions. It's important to ask the right questions, right?
That's right. Take care of yourselves. Ask questions.
Yeah.
So what do you do for self-care?
Well, I've been trying to exercise more and eat healthy and stuff like that. And that's been actually really helping me out a lot. Because we have our good days and we have our bad days. And personally, things have been going a little better now that I'm trying to take better physical care of myself. So that's a big health self-care thing.
That's good. I feel like I owe you an apology for last week, because last week I was like, how are you? And you're like, I've been really sad. And I was like, I just had the best weekend. It's like when I was editing it, I was like, wow, I'm such a bitch. So sorry about that.
Whatever. It is what it is.
Like in one ear, out the other. My best friend's sad. Well, I just had a great Mother's Day. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It is, we're all living our doing our do.
Yeah.
Another funny self-care thing that I saw pop up on, because I was looking stuff up and seeing what other people were doing, and something that popped up kind of as a joke thing, but I realized I've been doing this for myself a lot lately, is talking to myself like I'm a puppy. Or like a small child. So when I do especially if I'm having a bad day, if I even get anything like a small thing accomplished, I'm like, good job. That was really good, Katie. Good for you. Good girl. Good girl. And I'm just like, yeah, is that weird? I don't know if that's normal, but it makes me feel better. So I do it. I don't know anyone else to do it for me. Good girl. You went for a walk? You want to go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. Let's come to walk. Okay.
I like that.
It was weird. I didn't really think about it, and then someone made a joke about I'm talking to myself like a small dog. I'm like, yes, I am too.
A nice pat on the back, gold stars.
I pat myself a lot. I'm like, good baby, good baby.
Oh, well, it's true. You have to keep, any accomplishment right now deserves a good job.
Yes. You brushed your teeth. Good. Oh my goodness, good for you, girl. You're killing it. Look at you brushing your teeth. You're doing a great job. That's definitely where my mind is at.
I've been trying to floss more because it's like, what else can you do in quarantine?
Oh my God, my floss game is on fleek.
Really?
I'm like killing it. I have a bullet journal, so I like have things that I try, like a habit tracker where I try to like do certain things every day, and I don't always get to everything. But flossing, yes, every day. Boom, boom, boom,
Wow.
boom, boom. Have so much extra time to floss right now.
Oh my
so.
goodness.
Yeah,
I
killing
flossed
it.
4 times this quarantine.
It's kind of a lot though. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank
You
you.
got it. Yeah.
Well, what else did you find? There's so many lists, so many websites, so many places that you can go to literally Google self-care in quarantine. And some are take it or leave it type of advice.
What were the things that were take it or leave it for you?
Well, here's the thing that I struggle with, and you know this, but I don't know if our listeners. I really have a hard time meditating. I have a hard time doing yoga. I have a hard time quieting this chitter chatter in my brain. And number one thing to do, I think, during self-quarantine, and I keep hearing it over and over and over again, is meditating.
Yeah,
Really?
and I know I said it to you the other day. I was like, you know what's been helping me? All of a sudden I've been meditating. And you're like, yep, okay. And I was like, all right, she's not feeling it.
No,
but
but
helping.
every place that I've, Googled, they say meditate, but then, I'm still back at it with my happiness class. And one of our rewirements, homework that were assignments is that she wants us to meditate 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And just the benefits of meditation are just through the roof. It calms your heart. It calms your mind. It sets out good intentions. You can, I don't know. It's just, if you can practice it more and more. Yeah.
And you know what? Here's the truth about it. It is hard, and it's kind of supposed to be hard. And I think that people unfortunately, I'm afraid people talk about meditating in a way. It's like, it's so relaxing. And oh my God, it's just like, I love to be meditating. And the truth is it's not. It's really stressful because you have to keep focusing your mind, and it can be a lot of work when you start, right? And it's uncomfortable because you have to face a lot of feelings, and you're like, oh God, this is awful. And I have to sit here for 10 more minutes. And so it is, I think that what should be more talked about is that meditation is challenging. And that's why also building your way up to 10 minutes, because 10 minutes is long. It feels long, But if you can do 2 minutes and then you do 5 and and there are apps for that, or you can just try to do it yourself. There's also guided meditations I think sometimes are more helpful. But it's but I will say that there is something to be said for muscling through it. You think well, what did that help? Did I really help anything? And all the studies point to yes. Even on the days you have a quote unquote bad day meditating, it's still supposed to have long-term effects. So I say, just torture yourself.
Well, I've got to do it. It's part of my homework this week.
Yeah, you got to do it. I love it. You'll see how you feel.
The Science of Wellbeing class actually has a guided meditation on SoundCloud. So I'm going to start with that.
That's great.
Because I'm good with the people talking. It's just when I'm alone by myself in a room with my thoughts. It's really, really hard.
It is. And I think that that is hard for everybody. And I think, again, people don't talk about it enough, but I think it is hard. And it's supposed to be hard because our minds are monkey minds, People little monkey minds are I gotta go do this. I want to go, And you're supposed to be able to go, hey, wait a minute. I'm more than just my monkey mind. What else is is there a deeper stillness in me and all that stuff? One thing that's been happening to me because I've been doing guided meditations. I've been doing both, but the guided are a little easier. I've been having these crazy memories just pop up out of nowhere. Not bad memories, but not good, just random things I had totally forgotten about. All the animals we had in my science class. We had all these animals. I forgot about them. They're guinea pigs and we used to be able to play with them every day. I just forgot. At recess, we were allowed to go into the science room and play with the lizards and stuff.
What?
I don't know how they trusted us with those animals. I wonder how often they would lose them because they just pull them out of their cage and they let you do it. But I'd totally forgotten about that. So maybe you'll have some fun memories that come back.
Oh God. Memories I've shoved down that I've never wanted to revisit. They'll
probably that too. Probably that too. But that's
so
supposed to happen.
What app would you recommend to people?
Oh, you don't want to listen to the meditations I listen to. They're real weird.
Oh.
I'm not going to make recommendations. I find the real dark web meditations that are wait, there's this one guy I've been listening to who's they'll make me laugh because the way he talks on them. He's no, can you envision the space between your ears? And you're like, okay. Joe Dispenza. His name's Joe Dispenza, if you want to know what I'm looking at. But I'm not necessarily recommending those for people starting out meditating. They're also really long. They're like 30 minutes. But
oh, God. Oh, no. You do a 30-minute meditation every day?
I have been the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
When I do one in the morning and one at night. So I do an hour.
Good job, Kate.
I mean, look at you listening to your meditation thing. Oh, listen to that weird guy. Keep listening to that weird guy talk to you. Good. Relax. Good relaxing.
Whatever works for you.
You know, I love it.
That's great.
I love YouTube. Yeah, anyway. That's like a lot about me and my inner workings.
Oh, I love it. I love that you're remembering that you used to play with guinea pigs in your science class.
Oh my God, how cool. What an important memory to come back to me.
Well, one thing that I found that was so interesting, I hadn't even thought about this. You know, there's so many lists of, things to do to take care of yourself. And one was to explore your family tree. And
boring.
Really start. No,
I'm just kidding.
I know, actually. But I mean, specifically, it was talking about who was your family in 1918 during the Spanish flu, and where were they, and how did they survive, or did they survive, or Well,
they must have survived, or you wouldn't be alive, right?
That's right. Hello.
You'll survive. But that makes that's a good question, actually, because my family's on both sides of my family, randomly, there's like at least one person that got really into the family tree stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of information. So I don't even have to dig very far.
Oh, I wonder where they were. Were they in New York, you think, in 1918?
No. My grandmother was born in what year did the Titanic sink? It was the same year. 1914, 1912. Mm-hmm. So she would have been a kid in the Spanish flu in South Dakota.
Oh, in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Huh.
So they may have been spared some of that. I don't know. Or maybe not. I don't know. On farm.
Well, I quickly asked my mother when I was like, I'm recording in 10 minutes. Tell me what you know about the family tree.
The Spanish flu.
She was like, and it was really funny because then she had to fire up the old Dell computer, which then took 7 minutes. I was like, we have 3 minutes. That's why I was late.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
My grandmother was born in 1919. So then so
she missed it. Or not really. They're right at the tail end of that.
Right. So she was born kind of towards the tail end. But my mom did then go into this story that I never knew, is that my grandfather, Charles James Douglas, he was I was like, well, where was he? What was he doing? And she said actually that my family moved around because he was a gold miner and he was always looking for the gold, the next place he could find gold. And that my great grandmother, I think that's what I'm saying correctly. My great grandmother was a debutante and a huge heiress, and they offered her a racehorse not to marry Charles James Douglas.
Where did they meet?
Did it anyway.
They must have been in love for real.
Yeah. So she gave up her inheritance until she did inherit it in 1933. That's in the family tree of when her parents passed and she got her inheritance. And they took the money and they moved to Atlantic City and lived it up.
And gambled it all away.
Something like that. Isn't that crazy? I didn't know that about my family.
That's really crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, and I'm the first like Southerner really in our family because they were all like, living in New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And then my grandfather moved my mom down to Florida when she was 12. But then my dad didn't come down there till after college. And that's where they met in Florida and then moved to Nashville. So fun little family tree. But then she printed off all this stuff. So I have all this stuff to go through after we get off. So
you have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I have a lot of homework. But I mean, what a fun thing to do during quarantine. A little self-care is just understanding your family tree and where you came from and, where they were in 1918.
I love it.
Kind of fun.
Totally.
I'm like, where's my racehorse? Like,
yeah, where's that racehorse?
Where's that racehorse?
Yeah, there's definitely, and I think that like there's some more obvious. That's a nice one. I like that one. There's also some more obvious ones like taking a bath and like trying to take some time for yourself, especially if like you're in a situation right now, which I'm not in, but like if you have children and you're trying to like be a mom and a teacher and go to work full time right now in this time, like you may need to make an effort to take a little bit of time for yourself right now. So that's obviously a thing. Sometimes even just like putting on lotion after your bath and taking the time, you know what I mean? Like just taking a minute to like touch yourself. I don't know. That's where
I have a
right
rash
now.
developing on my elbow, which I was like, I don't think I've been moisturizing enough. I haven't been self-caring enough.
Yes, you got to self-care really a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Some other things, masturbating, totally down with that. That's a really important one right now. Or if you have a partner with you that you can have some sex if you feel like it, if you want to, or if you want to masturbate, that's also fine. You can do whatever you need to do. But I found this list of like options, self-care options that are a little offbeat.
Ooh,
some of them were very offbeat. One was, this is like stuff I guess that people actually do, and I don't know if some of these count as self-care really, but one of them was squeezing ice cubes. He was saying like, this is like way intense, but he was like, instead of self-harming, you can squeeze an ice cube as hard as you can.
Whoa.
And it creates a painful sensation, but not the lasting effects. And I'm like, we're not talking about self-care anymore. We're talking about mental like help. So, but if you feel like you need to squeeze an ice cube, that's an option for you. You can go for it. What was another one? Another self-care. This list is like terrible because these are not real self-care things. That, which brings me to another point in a minute. But another self-care thing for someone was learning how to code.
Ooh, yes.
But is that really like a thing that everyone should be like? I mean, sure.
I've been trying to learn a little. I think
does that feel like self-care, or does that feel like just a thing you can like start to learn how to do? See, this is where I feel like self-care as like a concept that's been flying around. There is like a limit to like what is self-care and what is a job. Like,
I'm going to build a shed. Is that part of your spa
I'm going to squeeze an ice cube. Like what is like? I don't understand.
I think whatever makes you happy at the moment in time is part of self-care. So if squeezing an ice cube or learning how to code or, making a garden.
So that brings me to another article that I found.
Oh, Lordy Lou.
It was called, there's a couple things that popped up. This one particular article on Vice, which, take it or leave it, is called The Dark Truths Behind Our Obsession with Self-Care.
Ooh.
And so here's the balance, right? Because I'm very like pro taking care of yourself and pro like doing what you need to do to make sure that you are mentally like in a good place and taking care of yourself and your body. But they did bring up a good point, which is like the ice cube thing. He was saying that like this obsession with self-care brings up 2 points. One is that our society is failing people in the mental health department. Mm-hmm. We don't have good support for people, especially young people who need more support with mental health. And their Band-Aid for it is quote unquote self-care. So now there's all these products and things coming out to try to make you feel like if you're mentally strained, just use this moisturizer or just like pay for this back massager or pay, and so that on the one hand, there is something that self-care is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And then I found this other article on thelist.com that talks about like what are like good self-care things and what are self-care things, like examples of good self-care and examples of self-care that's not really self-care. And I thought a good example was, hanging out with your friends, right? Going out like hanging out with your friends. Good self-care for like under a certain circumstances. Bad self-care would be going out every single night because you feel like it at the expense of other things that are important in your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But like people have like gotten to a point where we're able to say like, well, if it feels good, then it counts. Good self-care is like, making time for yourself. Bad self-care is like ignoring your obligations to other people and hurting other people in the process. Mm-hmm. That doesn't count as self-care if you're hurting other people. So it's sort of like, sorry, I took this to like a dark place, but I just thought that it was like worth noting things like that. right? Do you have questions or thoughts?
Well, my thought on, I've been struggling with just responding to messages lately, text messages, emails. Oh my God, I haven't written an email in a week. And I was starting to really feel bad about not even like the fear, having FOMO or whatever, but it was more of, I was feeling bad that all of a sudden I didn't want to engage with other people because I should be, because,
Right.
I have not been engaging with anybody. So I should be wanting to reach out and text and call. But I think I was just over saturated with that the first month of like all the Zoom calls, texting, sending. I joined Marco Polo. We were sending funny videos back and forth to several of my friends. And then now I'm just in that complete opposite stage of that. I just want to turn every social thing off and just like read a book or go for a hike, just kind of be alone in this and not feel it, but like, I don't know, but not responding to text messages, that could be kind of hurtful, I think, to some people.
Well, so that's the balance, right? But like, I think that first of all, I want to say that what you're feeling with that, I think is probably really common. I think that like, and I feel like I've been there too, and I have my days and stuff too. It's like, it's certainly, I think even that trajectory is like really common, where at the beginning we were Zooming a lot and we were like really, because we were so like, oh no, we can't see people, but it gets to be overwhelming. So I guess in this particular list of things, a good example versus a bad example would be, good example of self-care is setting healthy boundaries with needy friends or family or whatever. So if you're feeling like, hey, I need to set a new boundary for how I'm like, how quickly I'm responding to texts, or how quickly I'm, I just need to maybe your boundary is different now than it was in the real world, because like we're in a chaotic time. So that's like one way to look at it, that it's like healthy, right, to do that. And then I guess the dark side of that coin, just to make sure you don't go too far the other direction,
right,
would they say a bad example of self-care is retreating from positive relationships and isolating yourself.
Oh no.
So I think, but it's okay. I think it's just like those things are so close, right? That's such a close thing, like a boundary versus like isolation, that you just have to find that balance, and you have to just be honest with yourself about how far have I gone, without feeling like, but if you don't feel pressure to like send that email today, like maybe that's okay for today. You know what I mean? And that like, because forcing yourself to do it isn't the right answer either. So maybe instead you could meditate, and then you can find the answer inside of yourself in that way.
Oh, it's just been so overwhelming. Just
totally
the our new normal of how to communicate with your friends and family. It's like, it's just been really overwhelming. So.
And I think that the truth is, for a lot of people too, is like, it is maybe people even that have never had struggles with like mental health stuff before. This is pushing on people in a way that they maybe have never experienced before, because this is like this is a traumatic experience that everyone's going through. This is not nothing, Well, so it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, you're having to sort of recalibrate a little bit, and like, it might take a minute to figure out,
Right.
But the self-care is like giving yourself, I would say, the self-care is actually giving yourself the mental space to try to figure out, where am I landing on this? Am I landing in a healthy place, or am I landing in an unhealthy place? And then having to make moves from there.
Well, I thought it was very interesting. I had gone to a social distance birthday party this past Friday, and it was so fun. They set up a sheet and projected ET in the backyard, and there was about 7 people, and everyone kept over 6 feet away, brought their own chairs, brought their own booze and stuff. But at the end of the night, we were kind of talking, and things got a little political, but then we were talking about self-care. And there was actually one of the girls there is a therapist, and we kind of all started asking her questions, and I was like leaning in to try to get some like free therapy.
Yeah, for sure.
But she was saying that a lot of therapists right now, this is totally like, this is not something that you can train in school for.
Yeah.
And she was just saying, obviously, I don't even know this person. She's a friend of a friend, but she was just saying that, there's only so much you can say, like to pick up a new instrument, or have you worked on your gratitude journal, or have you walked today or exercised in some way? I mean, there's only so much you can say to that to help your patients. But some of her people, she was saying that they really need help. But I think therapists nowadays too are struggling with how to help people, because this is just so not normal.
Totally. And I know that like in my own personal experience with therapy, like sometimes when my anxiety would flare up, it would be around things like the environment and like global warming. And I'd be like, I'm so freaked out that like we're all going to like die in global warming. And she would have to be like, yeah, it's possible. Like, because she can't say, don't worry. You know, she says like, you know, all you can do is like manage your anxiety and like try to figure out like maybe if it feels better for you to take action, do that. If it feels better for you to just like not read the news so much, then you do that. So those are kind of like healthy boundaries too in terms of like self-care that I think are really important. But that was another thing I think it was the Vice article that was talking about it. It was like saying that like this idea that like you can take a bath and then everything's fixed is not real. Like, you know, those things are important in terms of like giving I think they all kind of point back to how do we make more space for ourselves so we can tap back in a deeper way. It's not about putting a Band-Aid on like, I'm going to journal, but like talk about like if you're going to journal, you know what I mean? Like get it out and be real. If you're going to scream into a pillow, girl, like do it. But it's not like a quick fix. But I think that that's fine. That's a good thing to know, right? So it's good to know that if you buy that muscle relaxer, I don't know what it would be. So that's not self-care. That's like drug addiction. But like if you buy this thing or whatever it is, it's not the weighted blanket. It may not solve all your problems, but it could bring you one step closer to figuring out what your problems are so that you can start working on them, you know? Or soothing, self-soothing. Sometimes like talking to myself like a small dog is soothing, you know?
Right.
And like it's not hurting anybody and it's fine. And I think I'm okay doing it. I don't know, should I be worried? I don't know.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, everything is good for you.
Good for you.
Good job.
Have you been keeping up with your therapist? Like, are you doing telemed or how does that work?
I've actually been weirdly in on my worst couple weeks, I've thought about reaching out to her. I had reached out to her at one point at the beginning just to sort of touch base, but she hasn't really been reaching out to me. And I think that what you're saying about that therapist saying like, we don't really know what to do. I think I'm getting a sense that she's like a little overwhelmed. And I feel like if I'm doing okay right now, I know that I have her. I know that she's available to me. So I think that like if you're feeling like you need that right now, please like reach out to people. If it's new to you, like find people to reach out to. There's a lot of services available right now for this kind of weird time that we're all going through. So I definitely encourage people to don't do as I say, don't do as I do kind of thing at the moment. But I've been feeling like okay enough that I'm not like I had like a couple of weeks where my anxiety was really bad, and I was like, okay, maybe now I'll reach out to her. But I know she's available. I have a sense that she may be overwhelmed with people. So
Well, it must be reassuring to know that you can call her if you need.
100%, 100%. And I think that part of that is half the battle, right? Just feeling like you have some resource, and a lot of people don't feel like they have a resource right now. So can be daunting to people to kind of start that up. There's like that even, I think we've talked about this before, but I think there's even some sort of a place right now where you can text like a therapist. And so if that's a good step for people, like if you feel like you need that, you know, maybe people don't feel like they need that right now. It sort of depends. Everybody's going to have their own needs. That was another thing that the articles was saying too, is just that like everybody's self-care is going to be different. So you shouldn't feel pressured. Like if a bath doesn't relax you, that's fine. That doesn't have to be part of your self-care routine. If flossing is your jam, floss away, girl. Just keep flossing. That's fine.
Another thing that I read, that it's really important to make sure that your immune system is at 100% right now, because, you know, that's a bigger conversation that we could be having as Americans, is that why is this pandemic hitting us the hardest because of our health system and you know, our unhealthy habits. But really just taking care of yourself and making sure that you're getting your vegetables. I was reading, you know, why not start drinking green juice? I'm like, please don't tell me to do that right now. But I did do that, you know, several years ago. I was having a lot of smoothies and protein shakes and working out a lot and just the amount of energy that being healthy can provide you. And you know, I've been starting to think a little bit of not doing Whole30 again, because that's like crazy to do right now, but just being way more aware of what I'm putting into my body and making sure that I am getting enough vegetables and fruit and stuff, rather than just like more sourdough bread with butter and honey on it. You just have to have a balance. Right now, I just haven't had much of a balance.
Totally. And I think that's also really relatable. I went through that too at the beginning, where like, especially as we're like cooking so much. And I don't know about you, but I was feeling so many cravings for restaurant food and stuff. So I made my rack of ribs and I did all the things like that. And I think that there's still room to do some of that for sure, because that's also self-soothing. And food is like definitely a tonic in that way sometimes. And we maybe lean on it too much in our society, but you don't need to like vacillate too far the other way. Because like one of the things I've been doing this week that has been really helpful is we have our ladies, our little workout ladies that we like from Tone It Up. Karina and Katrina from Southern California. We love that program. But I like jumped back into the program, and it's been really nice to like see their faces and like do my workout every day. And it's not like super long workout, and they have a meal plan, and I downloaded their newest one, and I was like flipping through it. I'm like, nope, I don't like that. Nope, I don't want to eat that. Nope, I don't want to eat that. So I was like, I'm modifying. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want that grain bowl. I don't want that chia pudding. Get that fuck out of my face with that chia pudding.
Oh, God, I know.
And then the other day I was telling you I had avocado toast for lunch, and I put some bacon on it because I'm like, you know what? YOLO.
Protein.
So,
gotta have that protein.
Gotta have the protein and all that fat. It's good.
Well, it's funny you said YOLO, because I'm actually trying to practice JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Oh.
Yeah, I found that.
Interesting. Tell me more about this.
Well, it's just, you know, being happy within the confines of what your reality is right now. I just read it on a self-help thing, you know.
Love it.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah, just being okay with it. And also, like, just, you know, I've been keeping like a journal of what I miss the most. And then that's when we're out of this, that's really what I should be focusing my energy on, because that is truly what I've been missing. Obviously, performing is like one of the top things. So when we come out of this, it's like ready to get back on stage. But then what else? A gratitude journal is, you know, I joke about like, oh, that's so silly and obvious, but it's really been helpful at night to journal just 5 things that I'm grateful for that day. Something that has happened, or, you know, a family or friend who reached out, just being aware and mindful of that there are things to still celebrate.
Totally. And I think also we live in a world, especially in the United States, where, and I talk about this probably too much, but we put so much emphasis on like material objects, and we put a lot of emphasis on success in a kind of like material way. And that when you're kind of stripped of all those things, you really do get, like you're saying, like you get to really see like, well, what's actually important to me? Is it that, you know, whatever, that paycheck, or is it this, or is it, you know, performing, or is it, you know, so I was been watching that show Crash Landing on You. It's so good. I love it so much. It's really long. There's like so many episodes, and each episode's like an hour and a half, but it's amazing. So I haven't gotten through it yet, but I love it. But one of the things that like has sort of come up is like the South Korea, which is basically America, versus North Korea and like their way of life. Clearly, North Koreans have a lot of problems with their political, like with their government, and like they are very restricted in a lot of ways. And like a lot of them are starving to death in real life, you know? And it sort of led me on some videos of like people talking to North Koreans that have like defected, and like what their experience has been in South Korea. And one of the things that this one person was talking about was they were saying how like everyone's starving in North Korea and it's awful and it's terrible, and like that's why you leave, right? And they like murder people in front of your eyes to try to keep you under control. So it's like, oh my God, how horrifying. And so the guy said, you know, do you think people are happier in South Korea? Like, are you happier in South Korea? And she was like, thought about it for a minute, and she goes, no. She's like, people are happier in North Korea, for sure. She's like, what I didn't expect about coming to like the South is that the pressure to be successful, the pressure to keep up with the Joneses, the pressure to like be a certain way is overwhelming. She said, I moved here. I really wanted to go to school and get a degree. So I went to school. I was really excited to be a part of it. And then almost immediately the pressure to succeed and do well and get good grades overwhelmed me. And then I tried to commit suicide. She's like, I never thought about committing suicide in North Korea. She's like, but the kind of pressures that we've put on ourselves in a modern world, she's like, no, don't get me wrong. People aren't happy in the sense that they need food to eat and they need to like take care, like they need to be taken care of by their government. So she's like, of course, like I'm not saying people are better off in North Korea, but she's saying that when you don't have a lot, you realize what's really important, which is your family and the people around. She said she's like, aside from the government, the citizens of North Korea are some of the loveliest, most loving, caring, wonderful people in the world. She's like, because that's all they have is each other. And I was like, damn, like we need to learn from that kind of shit.
Well, I remember when Margot, my sister, went to India, she was like, they went to some of the parts of India that were by far the most poorest communities of people that she's ever seen. But she said by far they were the happiest people she's ever seen. And that kind of goes to my science of well-being class. This week we've been learning about how material objects obviously do not bring you happiness, but experiences. So travel. And even when you purchase a trip, you have that to look forward to. And the weeks leading up to that experience, you're happy thinking about it. And then when it's over, it almost vanishes in the sense that it's not a bad experience that caused trauma or whatever, but like it was an experience that you were able to, celebrate and then share your story with other people. But it's not something that's like weighing on you or like a material thing that like you have to keep paying you're excited to have a house, but then you have a mortgage. It's just something that you experience and then it vanishes. And that all you have left is to share the experience verbally with your friends and family, and just how much joy can come out of that. So I was like, oh, great. So experiences, travel, that provides happiness. Awesome. Cool.
Can't travel.
That's it's really funny taking that class right now because I think it's not meant to be taken during a global pandemic, but
right. But think about like, how do you translate that to where we are right now? And part of that is like having nice experiences with your family or like having, or even if it's just like, that's why I think that gratitude journal is so important right now, is that it's so easy to focus on how things are terrible right now. Mm-hmm. But you forget that you have your health, you have your, and if you don't have your health, you have your family. And if you don't have your family, you have like, what do you have? Everybody's got something to be grateful for. And I think the more we focus on those things, the more good things come and the more at peace you are. Because that's the other thing is it's not always about chasing happiness, right? Sometimes it's just about being at peace with where you're at. I think that's sometimes chasing happiness is another pressure.
Right. Well, that's one thing I really enjoyed about Obama's speech is that kind of the reflection on your values and what you want for the future. And it's like, now's the time to start planning and just really knowing what it is that you do want. But going back to your personal values and then being able to map it out from that. I mean, no time like the present then to reflect on what exactly you want. And I think writing it down, we're huge advocates for, setting your intentions and, in a journal, that's a really great way to do that.
Absolutely. And I think also like that, I lost my train of thought. I lost it. Wasn't meant to be. Something real profound just slipped right out my ear.
It's so funny. Jomo.
I love it. No, I think that's, and I'm glad that we kind of circled into this area as opposed to talking about like, why do I want to say bath salts, but everything feels like a reference to like drugs. I don't know where my brain is at. Like, I mean like actual baths or whatever, like I think, or whatever, massages. It's like those things are great. I'm not saying that they're not, but what is the real inside internal stuff that we can work on? Oh, I know what I was going to say. Just that kind of going back to the protesters. It's like, there's something there about like being really uncomfortable with yourself or being uncomfortable with things that, this is a great time. And wanting all these material things and like feeling like those are the things that are going to bring you happiness. It's like they're missing an opportunity to really do something cool or get something really cool out of this. So I feel bad for them. And then they're also putting themselves and their family at risk if they don't seem to understand.
I was driving around this morning and there's Kid Rock. He has a club downtown Nashville, and he has put up billboards everywhere saying that they're open now.
I mean,
downtown Nashville,
If y'all are thinking about, I just want to warn everybody too, not to be like a doomsdayer, but just be aware that just because everyone's saying that things are reopening doesn't mean that we're really ready for it. So, if you want to go and do a thing, okay, but be careful because the virus don't care. It don't care.
They don't care. Nope, the virus don't care.
So take care. That's self-care too, right? Protecting your family and yourself.
Mm-hmm. And keeping healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, this was a nice little thing, a little present to our listeners, I would say.
So. Yeah.
Meditate. Drink green juice. Just kidding. Don't do
toast.
that. Don't eat. Don't do yoga. That's ours.
Do yoga at your own expense. I don't know.
Well, that's why I pulled my back out. Like the very beginning of quarantine,
dangerous.
I was doing all these live workouts. I was so excited. And then I was doing yoga. And then I pulled my back out, which I've never done before. So you got to be careful doing all that stuff too. But
yeah.
Well, folks, please email us. We'd love to hear from you. What are you doing for self-care in quarantine? You can email us at difficultwomenpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. What's been working for you? What's not working for you? Love to hear that stuff too.
And if you haven't, please write a review for us on iTunes. It really, really helps. And
absolutely.
Why not help some whores?
Yeah, help the whores out. And if you want to join up our Patreon, we're doing another special podcast on that every Friday, which is kind of fun. Additional podcast time. Okay.
All right. Bye.
You got eyes like pools of silk. Your two lips are perfect. Your skin white as milk. It don't matter if you love me, we'll never be. 'Cause Connie said that you gotta be deep. Connie says you gotta be deep. I know you're a nice guy, you may be perfect for me, but I'm not gonna risk it to stay away from my biscuit. 'Cause Connie said that you gotta be deep. Only dated Connie for a month or two, but she seems to know lots of secrets about you. You broke her heart bad, so she might just be mad. But Connie said that you gotta be deep. Connie says you gotta be deep. Is it itchy down there? Does it burn when you pee? It's not enough to take a shower, so get away from my flower. 'Cause Connie says that you gotta be